Hey, we're back and better than ever. This is Effortless. I'm your host today, Mr. Piddle, with me, Dr. Spigel.
Hey everybody, my refrigerator smells really bad.
And what a great start to another show.
Yes,
Another Spiegel, just random musing.
Yes. Speaking of random musings, did you know, and this is some breaking news, this was just posted on My Nintendo News this morning. We Karaoke U has just been updated with 20 new songs featuring such excellent selections as, let me scroll down the list here, a song called Freak Flag by Shrek.
Wait. Can I just stop you right there?
Yes, please stop me.
What the hell is We Karaoke U? I've never even heard of this.
Isn't that the best name you've ever heard? I think it might be a European exclusive. And if it is, Nintendo of Europe, you're doing a spectacular job bringing over these amazing AAA Wii U titles. Also featured in this update are Happy Happy Joy Joy by Ren and Stimpy, Hound Dog by Grease. I don't know if that's like from the movie. And Poster Girl by the Backstreet Boys, and World Painted Blood by Slayer, which sounds like a really good, fun party karaoke song.
Oh my.
World Painted Blood.
What a random selection.
There's like 16 other songs too, and I've literally never heard of any of these.
Happy Happy Joy Joy.
Well, okay, no, I've heard of that
Slayer,
one.
Mixed with Grease.
There's a song by Queen that I've never heard, Good Old Fashioned Lover Boy. Never heard that one, but Queen is one of the only bands I recognize of this list here. Like, I don't know who Kelly Clarkson is, or like...
Okay, moving on.
Okay.
52 out of 52.
This show is great already. This is so much better than the other one.
This is going to be our best show yet, right?
Yes. Every week
we're going
is
to
the
put
best
another
show.
Great title for it. This episode will just be called Everything Sucks.
Because Everything Sucks episode.
Because we seem to get more clicks when we just say something sucks.
We got so many views last week. Thank you for everybody who tuned into our show and listened so diligently. I thought last week was just phenomenal, and this week should be just as good.
If not better.
Yes,
because
we're gonna complain about every company today.
But first, 52 games, 52 weeks. If you are just joining us, we are on a quest to beat 52 games in the 52 weeks of the year.
We are still doing this for some reason, even though it literally ruins our social lives. I mean, when was the last time you even went outside?
Never.
Yeah, well, okay. That doesn't make
I
any
just
sense.
order everything now.
You know what? Online shopping is such a great thing because I never need to leave my house except to go to work, ever. And hopefully one day I'll be able to work remotely from home and just never, ever have to go see the world outside.
Wouldn't that just be great?
Yeah, it really would. So I beat Metroid 2 this week. I played it on 3DS. It's like $4 on the eShop. And you know what sucks? While we're talking about stuff that sucks, is the fact that this game is probably one of the most underrated games I've ever played in my life. Nobody ever talks about Metroid 2 as if it's even decent.
I don't even know that anybody played Metroid 2.
Everyone's always like, Metroid 2 sucks. There's no map and you can't see anything. And it's like, well, yes, there's no map. And that is a serious, serious flaw in this game. And it will prevent me from giving it anything more than a 3 out of 5. But at the same time, there are a lot of awesome secrets to be discovered. The gameplay has a really unique twist, which is you can't beat the game until you destroy all of the Metroids. So you need to find and hunt down every last Metroid and kill them. And it's just it's a really unique take on the Metroid side-scroller. It's kind of like a natural extension of the first Metroid on NES, which I also don't like because it doesn't have a map. But if you can get past that map thing, if you utilize a map that you can find on, just by Googling Metroid 2 map, you will have a blast with this game, I think, if you like side-scrolling Metroids. I think it's as good as any of the other ones out there. And it's on 3DS, and you should really give it a shot, because it's not bad at all. It just needs a map.
How long of a game is it? Because it is the only Metroid game that I have not played.
Well, in theory, if you used a guide, you could probably beat it in like 3 to 5 hours. And the ultimate goal of the game is to beat it in under 3 hours, because Metroid always has like speedrunning bonuses.
Yep.
If you beat it in under 3 hours, Samus like takes off all of her clothes and like stars in an adult film. April
Okay.
Fools.
I'm in.
No, she doesn't do that. But the game I find is very enjoyable, and it's so underrated that I felt like I had to just go completely the other way and say this game is really good. I don't know that it's really good, but I did enjoy it. I enjoyed my brief time with it. It was enjoyable to the point where it's like I would play this if its one fatal flaw would be fixed, and that is to give it a map. You really need a map. Everything looks the same, so that's kind of a big problem. But if you use a map on Google, it's a very enjoyable experience, which is what I did. I beat the game in probably under 10 hours. So I'd recommend Metroid 2. I give it a 3 out of 5 though, because no map.
Anything else that you beat?
Unfortunately, that's the only thing I beat. Although I did play like 4 other games this week, so I'm now working. If I include Xenoblade Chronicles X as like this massive long-term project that I'm still working on, I played Xenoblade, Twilight Princess HD, Persona 3 on PlayStation 2. I went a little backwards. I played, Fire Emblem Awakening and Metroid Fusion. I started playing as soon as I beat Metroid 2. I put Metroid Fusion on. So I got about an hour into that.
Yikes.
So I'm playing a lot of stuff right now. Haven't beaten anything though.
Well, we teased it last week, right?
Yes, we did. I said that Piddle had started to play a game and maybe beaten at that point that I have loved for many weeks, and that is, drumroll,
Zero Escape. 9 hours, 9 persons, 9 doors.
The visual novel from Japan that came over to America, to the Nintendo DS, that I told everybody about a year ago, almost exactly a year ago. I said, you should all play this. And some of you did, and some of you really enjoyed it, and now Piddle has finally jumped on board.
Yep. You were harassing me about it.
Relentlessly.
Pretty much ever since you beat it.
Yes.
And so I finally decided to play it. I needed a new DS in order to play it, and GameStop.
Tell everybody about the deal that you got.
Yeah, GameStop was having a deal where you got $20 off any of their used systems. So I snagged a DS Lite for the low price of $20.
That's just so absurd. That's so ridiculous.
Considering the DS Lite library, that's a steal, if you ask me.
That might be the greatest deal of all time. A DS Lite for $20. The DS is an incredible library of games.
Yes, it's a great deal. The only issue with it is I might need to take it back because
it's defective.
It doesn't always read the game cards. Which is sort of an issue with a lot of the DS Lites after you use them for a while, and I'm not quite sure why. So, yeah, I might have to return it just for that reason. But still, $20, good deal. I'm happy with it. And yeah, I played Zero Escape. That was the first game I played when I got it.
So tell us about your experience with this game and whether or not you agree with me that it's one of the greatest science fiction stories ever told.
I don't even know where to start with the game. Because
it's kind of hard to describe, right?
Yeah, it's a escape the room type of game, right? And you sort of have to... I would sort of liken it to a point-and-click game from the 90s, where you sort of have to search the room, find certain things, and solve puzzles in order to escape the room. And that's sort of woven together with a really, really fascinating story. It's sort of, I'm trying to think of what it reminds me. It sort of reminds me of like the Sci-Fi Channel's movie way back when of like Cube, where the mystery just sort of keeps getting more and more intricate, I guess I would say.
One of my favorite things, to interrupt you, about the game is sort of the way they take real life examples of things like the ship, the gigantic, and I don't want to spoil too much, but like
don't spoil anything.
No, but they talk about like morphogenetic fields and automatic writing and stuff like that, and all that stuff is real, and they tie it into this really interesting mystery of these 9 people who are trapped on this ship.
Yeah, it's great how all the different paths you take sort of elaborate on the story a little bit more and give you a reason to keep playing through it and experience all the stories.
But there is that one sucky thing about it where you have to keep going back.
Keep going back through it. I didn't really mind it because you could even though you have to redo the puzzles, you already know the answers, so you can solve the puzzles in like 5 minutes. You can speed through all the text pretty quickly. For me, it was just such a great mystery, and the way it unraveled, and the way that it gave you one answer, but then it would throw like 5 more questions at you. So you just wanted to keep going and keep finding out more and more and more. Rather than just sort of being a story where it was like, it tells it all and then you're done and it's just complete. I mean, even after you beat the game,
it's like putting together a puzzle, right? Like you every time you go back to the puzzle, you get a couple more pieces and you put them in, and like it doesn't really look like anything at first, but then it starts to take shape. And then when you finally get that last question answered, it's so satisfying. And the game ends on a cliffhanger, which just drives me insane, at least until I played the sequel.
Until you played the sequel? Yeah. Which I have started. But yeah, I don't know. It was a great game. It was a great experience. Some of my only complaint really is some of the answers were so cryptic.
To the puzzles, you mean?
Yeah, some of the answers to the puzzles were just too cryptic, and it could have given a little bit more guidance in some areas in terms of what to do.
Yeah, the hints were pretty garbage, especially there were a couple rooms in particular where I thought the hints just did not help you. And it's like, well, I don't know what to do.
And
like
there were a couple of rooms where you had to do very specific, like you had to specifically touch on several things in order for them to give you another hint. So yeah, one of the examples that I think of is the kitchen area, where you have to touch on 4 different things, and then it'll finally give you more information about a 5th thing that you can touch on. But if you don't,
not to mention the fact that in the kitchen you literally have to get every item. It's not like a puzzle to be solved. You have to go in this order and get everything. You can't just put the answer into the safe to get out of the room.
Yeah, so that was my only issue, I think.
And the text speed, you said, right?
The text speed is a little bit slower than I would like.
It's a little slow, yeah. I wish there was an option to like speed it up, but it is what it is.
You can speed it up a little bit by holding down the A button.
Maybe you have to keep doing that, so it's like...
Yeah, it could have been a little bit more... I prefer it when you just press the A button, and instead of speeding it up, it's just like you press the A button and it just shows the whole line of text.
Yeah, and if you guys have no idea what we're talking about, just go play the game and you'll see.
Yeah, it's really just it's a visual novel. A choose-your-own-adventure visual novel.
It's a very unique way of like playing a game. Like if you're looking for something different, this is different. There's really nothing else out there that's like this that's as high quality. And I major emphasis on that. Although I do really like the Danganronpa games.
The big thing is just how good the mystery is and how it plays out.
So what's your score for this one?
So my score is, I mean, the mystery is perfect. The mystery itself, I would give a 5 out of 5. The puzzles are also really good. Sometimes I think that they could have elaborated on the puzzles a little bit more. And then in other places, I felt like the hints were way too cryptic or just non-existent. And for that, I have to bring it down to a 4 out of 5. But it is so close to being a perfect 5 out of 5 game for what it is. So that's my final score, 4 out of 5 for it.
So you played one other, and then, let's do that one.
Yep. The other game I played was King's Quest VI, which I played a long, long time ago as a kid. And that is just a classic point-and-click game.
Played it on PC?
On PC, yep, with very, very, very cryptic answers in some cases. I mean, it's a game where you have to like click on things and you need to find the perfect item. Sometimes you're supposed to use a very particular item in a very particular place at a very particular time, and it's not very clear what you're supposed to do.
Because it's just a classic point and click PC game where it's like, oh, you're screwed.
A lot of people don't like it because you just have a lot of instant deaths where you fail. And I didn't really mind that. A lot of the answers where you had to use specific items in specific places, I felt like made a lot of sense, and I liked it. Other ones are not not clear at all. One example, and this is sort of spoilery, but not whatever. One example is you can pick up a bottle of ink in like a trash can, and the bottle of ink is empty. So you think. In a later area of the game, you have to sort of trick 5 creatures that have 5 different senses, one like heightened senses of like sight, hearing, whatever. And in order to trick the one that has a very good sense of sight, you have to take that empty bottle and pour it over yourself, because the bottle actually contains invisible ink that makes you invisible.
Oh, come on. How are you supposed to know that?
Right? Like, how are you ever supposed to know that?
It's kind of like I talked about this last year, but in Grim Fandango, there's just a lot of puzzles that it's just like, I'm going to combine this completely random, unrelated thing with this thing, and that's going to take me forward because the game's logic dictates that these things go together for whatever reason.
Yep,
it's exactly
LucasArts
like that.
Was pretty bad with that too.
Yeah, but you know what?
Like
but
the
you know
monkey
what?
wrench.
It's kind of what makes the game so charming, in a way.
Yeah, it is. It is a part of what makes it charming. But sometimes it's just like there's no way to know unless you have a guide, and that was sort of the point of these games. Is, like King's Quest V, King's Quest VI. People usually rail on the old point and click Sierra games for having these, but LucasArts is just as guilty. And these games, you could also buy guidebooks, and that's what they wanted you to do. They wanted you to either call their 1-800 number to get a hint, or to buy their guidebooks.
The original season pass,
yes,
if you will, scumbags.
I
didn't even think about that until this right now. I did not think about that until this very moment. These companies have always been trying to screw you. So, you know what? Just screw this whole industry. I'm done. I'm never playing another game. Good. This was Effortless.
Hey,
thank you for listening.
You still loved Grim Fandango, though, right?
Yes, I did. I used one of the free online guides, though.
Yeah, exactly. And I had to use a guide with King's Quest VI in some cases, even though I had played it before long ago and had beaten it. And so that was really the only complaint I had with it. I liked the story and how it played out. I liked the world and how it was, and the detail it had. I just didn't like some of the more cryptic puzzles. So with that said, I'd give it a 3 out of 5 because, yeah, in some places it's just plain bad. But that's it.
And speaking of just plain bad, it's time for Piddle's Quest for Mobile Glory, in which you try to find a mobile game that is free and is worth playing. And that being said, I believe I might have found one.
Ooh.
But we'll talk about that in a moment.
I don't know if what you're talking about is really that worth playing. I don't know.
I don't know. I've had quite a bit of fun with it.
For me, I played Sonic Dash, which is a endless runner.
Boy.
It's
Here we
pretty
go.
much exactly like Temple Run. It is exactly like Temple Run, where it's all pretty random, and it gets faster and faster, and eventually you're just not going to be able to react quick enough, and that's going to be it. But you have your unlockables where you can unlock new characters and blah, blah, blah.
Ironically, I feel like Sonic lends himself to the endless runner probably more than anything else, and it surprises me that Sonic Dash hasn't been more successful than a game like Temple Run, which it wasn't really a recognized IP or anything when it came out.
Yeah. And the thing is, it is just as good as Temple Run 2, I think, which is the only Temple Run that I've actually played. So yeah, it's just as good as Temple Run 2, but it has like the familiar cast of Sonic characters. I think for Sonic, it actually works really well to have an endless runner. But it's just it's still not for me. It's
an endless runner. It's not even
It's an endless runner, and eventually like it really boils down to, can you react quick enough? Which was the same issue I had with Platform Mechanic and the previous Temple Run 2. So, with that said, for what it is, it's good enough, but it's not a great game. I'd give it a 3 out of 5.
Wow, that's higher than I expected. I thought, well, anyway.
It's not a bad game. It's just not... it's a diversion. It's not good, or it's not great.
It's not good. So speaking of diversions, if you want to talk about mobile games that are diversions, you guys all need to go check out this game. It came out yesterday in the United States. It's called Miitomo. It's made by Nintendo. We talked about this briefly on a previous episode, I believe, about what we thought Miitomo was going to be like. And it finally launched yesterday. Already has over 3 million downloads worldwide, so congratulations to Nintendo. Your first smartphone app was a bigger success than the Wii U was in its first 2 years.
Can I discuss that 3 million number just real quick?
Yes.
Well, I know that one of the things with Miitomo is that they just want people to get signed up with the new My Nintendo account, right?
Yes. They've integrated everything remarkably well, to be honest with you.
So even though you can buy stuff in it, it's really not focused around spending money. But
yeah, but that's what I like about it. As a mobile game, it is a free application that is kind of fun and silly. I said yesterday on Twitter at Spiegelwe, I said on Twitter that it's like if Tomodachi Life was good. And I didn't really care for Tomodachi Life. It was interesting. It was a good diversion, but like after 20 minutes, it's like, okay, whatever. But this one, you're actually connected to real life other people, not just computerized versions of your friends that do random weird things. These are actually your random weird friends saying stupid things to your face, basically.
And as I understand it, that they can swear too, right?
That I have not tried, although I have.
They have not filtered out swear words in this.
What I have done is to get around that, if they do have any type of censorship, is like, oh, what did you do this weekend? And I'd say my wife, and that's sort of how I get around that sort of any potential blocks there would be.
Well, they don't have any blocks yet.
Okay,
as far as I'm aware,
it's Nintendo, so I'm sure there will be soon.
Yeah, I'm sure there will be some filters really soon. But
yeah, but I'm really enjoying this. I know it's still early, but like it's just fun to log into it for like 10 minutes and just see what your friends are saying, and it's fun to answer questions. Everything feels rewarding because you get a reward for doing just about anything. You answer a question, you get 10 coins, which you can spend on outfits, and you don't need to buy anything if you just enjoy the app and you're not really concerned about playing it for hours on end. You don't need to buy anything, which is what's so great about it. It doesn't push microtransactions into your face like it's this necessity that you need to even play the game. It doesn't feel like a money grab, even though they can make money off of it. That's what's so brilliant about this app, and it ties into the My Nintendo thing, which we talked about.
So
I'm really proud of you, Nintendo. You've done a great job with your first app.
One thing I was trying to get to or ask was, since cell phones are like nearly ubiquitous now.
Yes.
How many downloads does Nintendo really need for us to consider Miitomo a success? Because 3 million, that seems like it's mostly just Nintendo fans to me. How many downloads should Nintendo really be hoping to get to sort of expand their player base and get more people into their ecosystem?
That is an excellent question, and I feel like the answer to that lies within like another like facet of what Miitomo is. How well can Nintendo sustain this success of Miitomo and keep people playing it? Because I feel like the more legs something has and the better they kind of market it to Nintendo fans, the more it will spread. It's not like something you need to buy into. It's not like a Nintendo fan tells a non-Nintendo fan, hey, you should check out this $300 system that has a bunch of awesome games on it. It's just, hey, download this fun new app and you can like do stupid things in a very Nintendo way. So it doesn't require any form of buy-in. So I feel like in order for Nintendo to consider it a success, it just depends on how well they can keep sustaining that environment they've created within the game. Or the app, I guess.
Give me a number, Spiegel. Give me a number.
I don't know. Like, what is a successful app? Like, what does Temple Run? Do you know? Do you have any idea?
I imagine hundreds of millions.
Hundreds of millions. Okay, I would say at least 25 to 30 million.
That's what I would say. I think they need over 20 million for this to really be considered a success.
And for what it's worth, I do feel like this app has legs outside of just Nintendo people, because I've seen several of my Facebook friends who don't even play games. They've already downloaded Miitomo because they've seen like screenshots of like the funny things you can do in it, and they're just People are attracted to Miis. Like, these mobile people, they like Miis. They just do. It's a fact.
Mm-hmm.
They remember the Wii. They remember the Miis. They're like, I'm going to do this. That's what it is.
Everyone really liked making Miis with the Wii.
Let's be honest. Making Miis is kind of fun. I mean, it
is.
You know, it's passé now, but it was really fun. And I think people want to return to that. People love nostalgia. Nostalgia sells. And Miis, I feel like, are now kind of nostalgic. Because nobody actually bought the Wii U. So nobody knows that Miis are still a thing.
I think this is a great segue, actually. Because speaking of nostalgia...
I don't know where you're going with this. This is going to be interesting.
I feel like Nintendo has tried too hard to tap into nostalgia and casual gamers. And that it has now led into an era where Nintendo does not make immersive adventures anymore.
Oh, very nice. Very nice. That was a very good segue.
And that is actually hurting them. Now, hear me out. And they're hopefully changing this going forward from here. But if you look at the last, I don't know, 5 to 10 years of Nintendo gaming, 5 to 10, I would say, look at the games that they have started to release and look at what they have gone away from. If you take the Mario series, they don't make games like Super Mario 64 or Super Mario Sunshine anymore,
or even Super Mario Galaxy, which was relatively immersive.
Yeah, which was relatively, yeah. Now they have they're very focused on creating that two-dimensional type of gameplay, which they did with Super Mario 3D World. It's like a 2D style of gameplay in a 3D world. It's not immersive. It's just a new take on the Mario formula. And I think they do that because they looked at the Wii and they looked at, well, what did everybody buy on the Wii?
New Super Mario Brothers.
Yeah, they bought New Super Mario Brothers.
Nobody bought Mario Galaxy. Everyone bought New Super Mario Brothers.
Well, Galaxy still did well, and Galaxy 2 did well. But
yes,
compared to New Super Mario Brothers, not even close. And so, of course, Nintendo looks at that and they go, oh, well, this is how we should make all of our games.
Because that's where the money is. And can you blame them? I mean, that's just what it is. I mean, look, New Super Mario Super Mario 3D World didn't sell as well as New Super Mario Brothers U either. I mean, that might be partially to do with the fact that it was a launch title. The Wii U didn't really have any games at launch, so everyone just bought Mario U. Maybe.
So while I understand that, I think by focusing just on that, they have essentially hurt their long-term growth. And I'll give you some more other examples. The other games that Nintendo has sort of released lately is Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze, because Donkey Kong Country Returns did really well on the Wii. It did phenomenally well compared to what Retro Studios had made before, which was the Metroid Prime trilogy, which was, again, a more immersive type of adventure.
And to be clear, neither of us are saying these games are bad at all.
Yeah, I'm not saying these games are bad. I just feel like in terms of...
It doesn't bode well for the future of their development going in this direction, right?
Yeah, I feel like it hurts in terms of their overall sales and in terms of growing their user base, because like the core gamers, not the casual gamers, which is what I think Nintendo was really trying to go after for a while with these more gamey type of games instead of immersive adventures. I just think it's hurt them. I mean, look, even with Zelda, if I'm playing Skyward Sword right now, it follows a very clear sort of game type of structure in every single area. It doesn't feel immersive to me at all. Everything just feels like sort of good game design. I think it's a great game. I love Skyward Sword. But in terms of just like getting completely immersed in a world and being like, wow, this is an incredible adventure.
Like, I love to get lost and explore this world, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They don't have that anymore.
And Twilight Princess was like kind of teetering on the edge of that. I love to explore in Wind Waker because once the game really opened up, you could sail anywhere and just like go to all these different places. Twilight Princess was more like, it was more of a linear game design anyway. But you could stop and appreciate the world. Skyward Sword, I can't even remember like half of the areas. I remember going through them and just being like, well, I'm playing a game.
And that's exactly it. It's just like, okay, what's the game puzzle that I'm doing here? Whether it's like using just the stamina gauge itself is just a very gameplay oriented feature rather than like a world building feature. And so I think the last big immersive game that Nintendo had was actually probably the Wind Waker.
Metroid Prime 3.
And yeah, Metroid Prime 3, which is a long time ago. That was like 2006, right?
Well,
2006, 2007.
We talked about this. I feel like Pikmin 3 is a really, really good immersive experience. I felt they did Pikmin 3 really well, especially with implementing great control options into the gameplay with the gamepad, like everything you could do with
But
it.
even that right there, you just said it right there. The way that the gamepad worked is a very gameplay-oriented design.
Yes, it was gameplay-oriented, but I felt like it meshed so well with what they were doing with this like immersive world that you were exploring. So
I did like Pikmin 3's world to a bit, but sort of the direction I'm going with is it's been about since 2006 since we had like a really type of Metroid Prime 3 experience. And look at the best-selling single player games out there that they're not sports games or like a really, really casual type of experience, like or kid type experience like Just Dance or Skylanders. We're just looking at the last 5 years here. Here are some of the best selling games. I'm going to name a few for you. Fallout 4, Grand Theft Auto 5,
twice,
Watch Dogs, Assassin's Creed 3, Assassin's Creed 4, The Elder Scrolls 5, Skyrim, Arkham City. What do all of those have in common?
Big, giant, immersive, open worlds, glitchy, hype marketing.
Glitchy, hype marketing. Yeah.
Yeah, glitchy, hype marketing.
Well, I mean, with open worlds, it is harder to make a glitch-free kind of experience. But, I mean, this is the direction that these games are going. This is the direction that most gamers really want to see. And we have not seen Nintendo go in this direction for a long, long time.
I would like to point out, again, I feel like I'm playing devil's advocate a lot right now, but Nintendo did release Xenoblade Chronicles. You know, they did publish that. I mean, so it's not like they're totally away from that experience, but it feels like Nintendo themselves don't develop those games anymore. Although Nintendo didn't really develop Metroid Prime either. They just published it, so it's kind of been this way for a while, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has been. And I think we're seeing Nintendo go away from this finally with Zelda U definitely being an open world kind of adventure and going more towards the immersion factor.
Fingers crossed.
Hopefully. And hopefully it has a lot of interesting things to do in the world. And I still hope it holds or retains some of the gameplay elements of like Skyward Sword, which I really enjoyed. So I just wanted to talk about that a little bit. And I mean, it's not really complaining. I just feel like it's a good thing to look at in terms of sort of a possible reason why the Wii U has done so poorly, because
amongst
it has
hardcore gamers.
It has great games. I'm not saying that these games aren't great. I'm saying they are great. But the things that people would just really, I feel like gamers that we really like to talk about is those immersive worlds. Even in like games like Destiny and The Division, which just came out, people are talking about how great these worlds are and how immersive they are, and just that you feel like they're lived in and that they're real, tangible things.
Yeah, the game doesn't even have to be good. I mean, look at The Division. It's not a particularly good game, but it's still intriguing to get like immersed in that world. It's still something that people want to do.
Exactly.
And I think that speaks volumes.
Look at the game that won many Game of the Year awards last year. It was The Witcher 3, which was lauded as one of like creating one of the best worlds we've ever seen. And that was one of the reasons that I loved it so much.
Yeah, I don't feel like, do you feel like Nintendo can't do that? Do you feel like they're not capable of doing that? Because I definitely do. They've done it before.
They did it during the Nintendo 64. I mean, that's why Ocarina of Time was just hailed as such a great groundbreaking game.
That world was boilerplate, man. Look at Majora's Mask. That's one of the greatest worlds I've ever been in. Like, I get lost in that.
I would
world,
actually argue that Majora's Mask, which I was thinking about this earlier, is, I mean, when you really get into Majora's Mask, it does have some great world building aspects and immersive qualities, but on the surface, with the 3-day time system and the layout of the world, it's not very. It's more sort of that gameplay or that gamey kind of design. I don't know. That's me.
We might have to argue about that a little bit later.
Well,
because I'd get into that.
I'm not saying it's not an immersive experience, because I think Majora's Mask is on equal ground with Ocarina of Time. I love Majora's Mask. I love how the world is so dark and foreboding all the time. But at first glance, and I think this is the reason why a lot of people didn't like Majora's Mask when it first came out, is because it has that 3-day time system, and it's just so like that time constraint. You just feel that just sort of suck a lot of the life from the game at first, until you get used to it, and it's not even an issue anymore, and then you get more immersed in the world. But that takes time.
I'd argue that's what makes the game so deep and so immersive, is that you have to struggle through it at first, and then it becomes this thing that it's this living, breathing world, and you discover it
but
all
that
over
is
again.
In stark contrast to an Ocarina of Time, which is immediately like you are in the world, and it's a great world to explore.
Okay, well,
that's all I'm saying.
We need to move on.
Yeah, we're going to move on, but I like that.
I like it
Tell
too.
us what you think in the comments, because I'm really curious what you guys think and where you land on that sort of discussion and that conversation. So, moving on, that's a little bit of a Nintendo strategy that we just talked about.
Time to complain about Sony's strategy.
Yes, time to talk about Sony's strategy. And
I'm gonna come across as like the world's biggest Sony hater right now, and I just want to make it clear that I'm not. I don't hate Sony. I just hate all their consoles and all their games. They make excellent electronics. Their TVs are spectacular.
Go on.
And they do make excellent 4K devices. And they are currently developing perhaps something that will work with their 4K television devices, called, I don't want to say it because it just sounds so stupid.
Well, this is just sort of what people have coined it for now.
Well, it's a stupid name, and they need to consider coining something else.
The PlayStation 4K?
It's like the new Nintendo 3DS. It's just a stupid name. The PS4K? Do you know how many dumb questions I'm getting? What's the difference between PS4K and the PS4?
Oh, you're already looking to those questions.
Yeah, I look way forward, man. I'm going to get those questions launch day through 2019. Maybe longer. Because I still get the questions about Wii U. Isn't that just a handheld Wii? I still get that. It's unbelievable.
Well, hey, Microsoft is supposedly doing this too with the Xbox One. If you don't know, it's sort of come out that Sony and Microsoft are making slightly more powerful consoles that will continue to play PlayStation 4 games and Xbox One games. And yeah, they're just going to be more powerful. I don't know exactly what that's for. Maybe it'll run games at higher frame rates or resolutions. I think part of the reason Sony's doing it is for their virtual reality. I feel like by having it'll put them in a position where they can release a game that plays on PlayStation 4, but then if you have PlayStation VR, you'll be able to actually play it in PlayStation VR, because frame rate is very, very important with PlayStation, or with virtual reality. And if you don't have that extra power, like if you look at current PlayStation 4 games, there's no way you'd be able to play them in VR without a little bit of extra horsepower. And that's why I think they're sort of doing it. Not to mention that it's going to be able to play video in 4K. So, I don't know. Should I go into what I really think these are, Spiegel?
Well, I just want to say first, maybe this is how it was with HD when HD first started emerging in like the mid-2000s. But I just don't see the point of 4K. I've looked at 4K TVs, and I'm just like, this it just seems excessive. I feel like HD still just looks so good, and maybe I'm just totally wrong in it. People really want 4K, but I don't know. I was a late adopter for HD too, so maybe that's just kind of where I am in the market. But I just, if Sony's gonna bring out this device, this PS4K, let's say just for argument's sake that it's 450 or it's $400 and the PS4 drops to 300. It's like, who's gonna specifically buy this just to upgrade and to be able to play games in 4K? That's a $400.
You're not going to be able to play games in 4K. That would take a lot more power. We're simply looking at playing like 4K Blu-rays.
Okay, so I'm probably coming across as a complete moron right now. Then if that's the case, I really don't understand this, because I just what does Sony have to gain by continuing to progress their technology when they're already holding such a massive lead? I know everyone says, oh, you don't want to be reactive, you want to be proactive in this industry, but it seems like they're just making stuff just to make stuff now, and I don't really know why. Where's the market for this? Is there a market? I don't even know. Are you in the market? Leave a comment.
Yeah. A lot of people have sort of talked about it like it's the Sega 32X and the Sega CD era all over again, and it's just a big, big mistake. I'm sort of in that camp. But what I see it as is, how are developers not going to look at this and go like, well, why would I want to develop old PlayStation 4 games? Why would I not want to utilize the extra power to make an even better looking game? And I mean, maybe Sony will be able to.
Well, hold on. Developers still make PS3 games. Not really anymore. Not really. But they were up until last year.
Yeah, but what do those only run on? PlayStation 3. So
what are you saying?
I'm saying that we should really call this what it is. It's going to be a PlayStation 5 with PlayStation 4 backwards compatibility. Because I mean, that's what I see it as, because eventually you're going to have games that you can only really play on this PlayStation 4K. Just like Hyrule Warriors Legends on the 3DS is unplayable on an old 3DS in 3D. You need a new Nintendo 3DS in order to play it. It's essentially a game for a different system. So
basically, if you have a PS4, sorry, right? Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah. And if you don't have a PlayStation 4, you may as well hold off.
If you bought a PS4 yesterday, with whatever game, you're only going to be able to play that game because it's going to be Hyrule Warriors Legends all over again, but on PS4.
Yep.
That's just disgusting.
Because you're going to have your PlayStation 4 game, and it'll run at 20 frames per second on your PlayStation 4. But why would you want that? Why wouldn't you want just to buy a brand new system so you can play the same game in 60 frames per second?
You know, I was interested in buying a PS4 up until we just had this conversation right now, because there's games coming out this year that I want to get, plus a backlog of games that I'm interested in, like Until Dawn. I want to try Bloodborne. But now I'm like, well, why would I do that if there's a new system coming out and it's like what you say? I'm not going to drop $350 right now. So maybe Sony's really hurting themselves right now. Maybe more people are thinking like what I'm thinking right now.
I see no reason to buy a PlayStation 4 or an Xbox One now, because, I mean, the games...
Well, definitely don't buy an Xbox One, ever.
I feel like you're just going to get screwed in the end, because a lot of the future games you'll be able to run them on your system, but you won't want to, because why would you want to play a game in like that 20 to 30 frame per second range when you could be playing it in closer to 60 frames per second? So I don't know. I just see this as setting a bad precedent. I really hope it doesn't do well. And yeah, that's about it.
Man, how long can we keep doing this? Just this constant stream of negativity coming out of this show regarding the gaming industry.
Everything sucks.
I almost feel bad. Like, man, sorry guys. If you really like these products, then I'm sorry for all the negativity, I guess.
Hey, you know what? If you want some positivity, just Zelda U is gonna rock, right? Right?
God, I hope so.
Right? Actually,
I hope so is about as much positivity as I can muster with Nintendo's recent offerings.
A little bit of positivity I'm going to throw out there is Nintendo's put out some more gameplay trailers of Star Fox Zero, and
yeah,
it
it's
looks
looking pretty good,
awesome.
right?
It looks like Star Fox 64, and I love it. I absolutely love it because we've been dying for Star Fox 64.
You're buying the game, right? You're buying the game, right?
Absolutely.
And you've got a Pro Controller?
Yep.
We got another game to play when I head over there. We'll play it together, the whole thing.
So I'm really looking forward to Star Fox Zero. Really, really looking forward to it. Anyway, we're going to finish up with a little bit more Sony negativity.
Oh, boy.
Because how could we not?
Well, you're going to be negative. I'm just going to be what I've always said about this.
What?
Well, do the thing first. What are we talking about?
We are going to talk about Sony just shut down Evolution Studios. So, oh man, how can I keep going this negative? I feel like just a horrible person. Like I hate everything about games now, which isn't true exactly. But
there's lots of good games that came out before the year 2000. It's all good.
I mean, in the last 4 years, Sony has now shut down Evolution Studios, which they made MotorStorm, they made Drive Club. And Drive Club, yeah, you can hate on it for having a just totally botched launch and being unplayable, but it still offered an option, another option for gamers to enjoy. And I mean, they did.
And it's actually playable now too, to be clear.
Yeah, it ended up being playable, and a lot of people call it like a really, really good game now that it's all fixed up. But Evolution Studios joins Zipper Interactive, which made the SOCOM series, and Sony Liverpool, which made the Wipeout series. And my question to you is Sony slowly destroying their once diverse first-party lineup of games?
Well, I would argue that what is slowly destroying their once diverse first-party lineup of games is Microsoft's complete inability to do anything relevant in the gaming industry anymore. Because what does, like, why would Sony even bother investing resources into first-party development when they're already dominating the market? I think that's what's destroying their lineup, not necessarily shutting down studios that make games every once in a while that come out and are okay. For what it's worth, I don't feel like SOCOM and Wipeout are like big pillars of Sony's first party lineup. You know what I mean?
I'm not saying that they're huge franchises, but when it comes to like trying to sell people a console, it's not. I feel like it's not just about the big games. People want something in between those big games. Like,
people want diversity, is what you're trying to say. They want a racing game.
People want a little bit of diversity. And I feel like that was one of the things that Sony did really well with the PlayStation 3, and was one of the few reasons the PlayStation 3 was even able to claw its way back and eventually end up outselling the Xbox 360 as time went on. And it's because Sony really had a great lineup of first-party games, or exclusives, like with the Ratchet and Clank franchise, which is from Insomniac Games.
I will agree with that for sure. It's just, I have a hard time believing that this move, shutting down Evolution, I mean, yeah, it sucks that, number one, people are out of jobs and they made good games, and that sucks. But as far as destroying their diverse first-party lineup, I'm more concerned about the fact that they don't have a first-party lineup.
That's exactly it.
They haven't invested any resources in it. Not so much that they're shutting down individual studios. So, yes, I believe they're destroying their first-party lineup, but not because of the reason that you've presented. So I kind of agree, I guess.
I just sort of look at it like they've already sort of lost Insomniac Games. Insomniac Games is making a Ratchet and Clank game for the PlayStation 4.
But Insomniac is also making multi-platforms and Xbox One exclusives like Sunset Overdrive. They're doing Song of the Deep. Have you looked at this Song of the Deep, by the way?
The GameStop exclusive.
Yeah, I heard of this.
It looks sort of interesting.
Yeah, it's like a Metroidvania. I'm kind of intrigued by that.
So yeah, they've already sort of lost Insomniac Games in terms of bolstering their first party lineup. They're shutting down more studios. They're not. I mean, the PlayStation 3, they had Heavenly Sword early on, which, I mean, a lot of people hated on, but it was something. It was something to play, and it looked really good at the time.
Now Sony's first-party lineup consists of, like, say, God of War 3 remastered, The Last of Us remastered, Bloodborne. I don't know is Until Dawn a first-party title?
I can't remember.
I think it is. So I'll say Until Dawn. I mean, that's all right, But where are the classic Sony IP that create this diverse lineup? Ratchet and Clank finally, after 2.5 years, still no true God of War, still no resurgence of Jak and Daxter, and there were rumors of Sony buying back like Crash Bandicoot, and that didn't seem like it went anywhere. And Naughty Dog, they're doing Uncharted, but they only make a game every 2.5 years, so it's like there's just not a lot there, and I'm more concerned about that.
Yeah, I'm just thinking in terms of their long-term strategy. This might hurt them because whereas Sony is sort of going this direction, we've heard time and time again how Microsoft is trying to boost their first-party lineup, and Microsoft has been looking to acquire new development studios.
And they've got Quantum Break and Tomb Raider and Gears and Forza, and they do have some legitimate IP. Microsoft does. Unfortunately, they don't really have anything else at all.
Yeah, I mean they have Scalebound now, which is Platinum Games, which
that's pretty big.
I mean it is it's not like they own Platinum Games, but they're trying to get more exclusives because they see the future in exclusives. They see that's going to define their Xbox brand. I mean, granted, we've also heard other things about them sort of moving away from the console business in recent weeks, but hopefully, I'm hopeful that they'll continue to try to expand their first-party lineup and sort of start to give Sony competition again.
Competition I feel like is very important, and everyone always complains about exclusives. I think exclusives are remarkably important because when you have exclusives, you give people reasons to buy a specific console, and that helps the company that gets that sale. You know what I mean? Nintendo's hardware is consistently helped by the fact that they have exclusives that you can't get anywhere else.
Yeah, where would Nintendo be if they had the same first-party lineup as Sony or Microsoft right now? They'd be gone.
Yeah, they wouldn't be around anymore. I like, as much as I rail on Sony and Microsoft for certain decisions that they make, and Nintendo for that matter, for certain decisions that the companies make, their success is remarkably important to my life. So I want them to do better. I want them to have these first-party titles, and I do get discouraged when I see that they're shutting down studios or they're not making any attempts to secure exclusives. So it's sad.
It sure is.
And that's where all my anger comes from. It's righteous anger, so stop getting mad at me.
It's good anger. We should be angry. Kind. We should be angry about what the industry is sort of going through right now. I don't know. I don't really know that I have anything else to say about the topic. If you have...
I'm pretty much done.
Yeah, if you have some thoughts to share about what you think of the PlayStation 4K or the Xbox 1.5, let us know in the comments. Hold on a second.
Let me ask you this. What do we know about the Xbox 1.5? I haven't even heard of this until right now.
Pretty much nothing. It's just rumor right now.
Just speculation?
It's rumor and speculation.
They're trying to amp up their console to compete with the NX, is what it is. They know something about Nintendo that we don't, and that's why they're doing this.
That's sort of what I feel like.
That's so silly. There's no way.
That's what I'm hoping, that the NX is actually the most powerful console, and that
they're being reactive now.
That developers are sort of telling them that actually the PlayStation 4 isn't our lead platform right now, and Sony's probably going like, wait, what do you mean? It's not like there's a console stronger than the PlayStation 4 out there. It's definitely not the Xbox One. So the logical conclusion would be the NX is going to be the lead platform. Yeah, right.
Could you imagine if Activision was like, they went up to Sony like, hey, I know how we gave you all the rights to like Call of Duty Black Ops 3. Yeah, Modern Warfare 4 is coming out on NX, and it's going to be NX exclusive for the first 3 months.
It won't be NX exclusive. They'll just say it's the lead platform.
I know, but it would just be so funny, like, to see that happen. It would just... Nintendo, all of a sudden, boom, like that, they're dominating the industry again. That'd be just insane.
It would be.
I could get on board with that.
But if Sony says, hey, we got something more powerful than that coming out soon, then who knows?
Then we got a real console
power war again. But I think at the same time, a lot of people that bought the current PlayStation 4 would be unhappy. So
$38 million to you guys.
Man, it's amazing. 38 million. Has it really sold that much already?
Yeah, maybe more.
Wow.
I don't know the number officially, but I think it's 38 million.
Wow, that's impressive.
It really is, and I got to give Sony credit. They've done it on basically marketing.
Yeah, marketing and being the best console out there.
Yeah. All right.
Okay. Well,
yep.
I think we're pretty much done for today.
Good show, I thought. Another succinct, just under 55 minutes, I think.
Yeah, I actually thought that we talked quite a bit, so I'm impressed that we kept it under an hour. If you have any comments, please share with us. Tell us what you're playing for your 52-52, how that's going. We haven't heard anything from you guys lately in terms of how far you are on your 52-52.
We didn't talk about our 52-52 either, though, so we didn't exactly prompt them or anything.
Yeah, I guess not. Well, we haven't been beating anything.
Sorry, guys.
If you look at the games I've been playing, they're all replays. I'm going to be done with my... I've pretty much just given up. I've just decided, you know what, I'm going to play what I play. If it's stuff that I've replayed before, I don't care because...
No, we've got to clear the backlog. We've got to clear the backlog.
Well, I'm trying to clear this backlog, and I play these games, and I'm like, God, this game sucks. I may as well
you
just
shouldn't have bought the game in the first place.
Yeah, I may as well just play The Legend of Zelda. So, yeah, that's sort of where I'm at right now.
Well, you'll play Virtue's Last Reward. We'll hear a little bit about that hopefully next week. I hope you get through that.
Yeah, I've been working through it slowly but surely. Right now,
I'm sure I'll finish something this week. I don't know what it's going to be, but I'm sure I'll finish something.
I'll probably finish Skyward Sword first, which, yeah, I'm looking forward to talking about that one.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to hearing your thoughts because I've never really gotten a solid opinion on Skyward Sword. I used to think that you hated Skyward Sword. I guess you were someone else.
No, actually, I was probably one of the few people that really thought it was a great game. When I originally reviewed it, I gave it a 5 out of 5 because I thought, well, we'll talk about it another time.
Zelda fans are so... I'm gonna end on this. Zelda fans are so unbelievably harsh on their own series. It's completely unfair. I'm playing Twilight Princess now. It is nowhere near as bad as any hardcore Zelda fan.
Hey, the beginning's terrible. Don't deny it.
Even with the beginning, I don't feel like it's that bad of a game at all. Like it's a very, very good game. It's one of the best games you could get on Wii. Still, by the way. So,
all right. Well,
Zelda fans, you suck. Everything else sucks.
Yeah, let us know what you think. Let us know what you think. Give us your 52-52 update. Argue with us a little bit. I know a lot of you are going to argue with me about the PlayStation 4K really being a PlayStation 5 with backwards compatibility. But, well, bring it on. I'll talk with you in the comments. For Spiegel, I'm Piddle. Come back next week.
You suck.
I know everything sucks, yeah. I know everything sucks, whoa. I know everything sucks, and this is gonna be the last time you hear me complain.